This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
We understand that development happens, but there's a certain way to do it with common sense, and there's a certain way that we rely on the county to manage that. And I don't think they're right now doing their job.
They were elected to serve the people of Sarasota, but the commissioners who will vote whether to approve development near the celery fields have received campaign contributions, a lot of them, from the man behind the development. What are we to make of it? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the recycling plant proposal and campaign contributions coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight in Great Britain, where there was chaos in the heart of London today. 5 people are dead, 4 victims and a suspect after an attack authorities are investigating as a terrorist incident. The attack started with a man plowing his car into a crowd of pedestrians, killing a woman. He then rammed his vehicle into the gates around the House of Parliament. Police say the man, armed with a knife, then breached security, attacking a guard. The suspect is believed to have acted alone and was seen waving a knife before being shot dead by police. Tonight, we are hearing from Suncoast residents who moved here from Great Britain.
Sad, very sad for the victims. Very worried about the family left in London.
Such madness, the world's gone mad, and you barely want to read a newspaper or even watch your wonderful television.
We're just not safe anymore. You have to be very, very careful of your surroundings, and it almost makes you afraid to travel.
Wednesday's attack happened on the anniversary of the deadly suicide bombings in the Brussels airport and subway last year. We'll have more local reaction coming up tonight at 11. Here on the Suncoast, a battle is taking place over development proposals on wetlands. Sarasota County commissioners are still hearing comments from both sides of a proposal near the Meadows community. The 77-acre proposal includes the expansion of the Aviva Senior Life Living Center, a new country club at the Meadows community, but since it would mean mitigating wetlands, the plan is causing conflict.
They need to build some more modern retirement type accommodations, and they have to link into the center core of the building for services, and so they need to use that land in the wetlands.
The development is grossly out of proportion with the surrounding neighborhood. Meadows essentially wants to clear-cut vulnerable wildlife habitat outside the meadows in order to help pay for improvements inside the meadows so they don't have to assess so many costs to their residents.
The Planning Board recommended the approval of 3 of the 4 proposed meadow developments. The commission is still meeting and will have the latest at 11. A follow-up now on the Punta Gorda police officer who fatally shot a woman during a citizens training academy. The attorney representing Officer Lee Cole is filing an appeal requesting Cole be given his job back. He was fired from the department earlier this month. In August, Cole was shot and killed Mary Knowlton. He is charged with manslaughter. Police Chief Tom Lewis is charged with culpable negligence in relation to the incident. Need a job? Go to the Northport. They are looking for a new chief of police who says he is retiring after 7 years in the top spot. Chief Kevin Vespia is making the announcement earlier this week in an email. Northport's city manager is also getting ready to leave his position, so the city commission will be responsible for hiring a new city manager, and then the new city manager will hire a new police chief. Both positions require a national search for candidates. Chief Vespia says it is time to move on.
And this decision is personal. It's my decision because it's best for me. It's best for me, my wife, and my family. This is not something that I just arbitrarily woke up one morning and say, I think I'll retire.
Chief Vespia's last day on the job will be March 31st, 2018. Sarasota County is releasing its school budget for the coming year, and it includes money for hundreds of new employees and pay raises. Superintendent Todd Bowden's proposal is an increase of 4% over last year's $421.9 million budget. It includes a restoration of 500 staff positions eliminated since 2008. The budget also factors in a possible 1.5% salary increase starting next year. Over 20 administrative positions will be added as well, most of which being new assistant principals. The final budget will be adopted in July. Bike riders rejoice. A new plan expanding the Legacy Trail is under consideration. It is being called the Gulf Coast Trail. Sarasota County is in negotiations to buy a piece of the Seminole Gulf Railway to extend the Legacy Trail down to downtown Sarasota. Now, the proposal could extend even further, connecting 5 existing trails into one fluid network. It would run from St. Pete all the way down to Naples, covering more than 300 miles. A hearing on the project is scheduled for March 30th. The Mayor's Feed the Hungry program helps families in need across the Suncoast. Today, it is celebrating 30 years of philanthropy and an anniversary lunch marking the anniversary in Sarasota today. Former Sarasota Mayor Fred Atkins launched the effort in 1987. It now includes all local governments in Sarasota and Manatee counties. The chair of the program says it is an important milestone.
People that we help in the community, we serve like homeless, low income, and people who really, really need the services. That is why it is important, for the things that we really do for the community.
Manatee County Sheriff Rick Wells was today's keynote speaker. He says it is important no one goes hungry on the Suncoast, and our own Scott Dennis emceed the event. And this is good work, Josh.
Wonderful work. Yeah, and also what's wonderful is the weather, because we have had a lot of sunshine in our forecast, and that continues through this early evening, just after 7 o'clock tonight. It is 68 degrees in Sarasota, 72 in Bradenton, 70 in Venice. You go inland, and temperatures are still in the 80s. 81 in both Avon Park, Sebring, and Lake Placid at this hour. So a little cooler on the coast, warmer inland. Things will change, though, in our weather. You can see all this tan color on the water vapor imagery. We've been talking about this for days as well. Dry air aloft, dry air above us, dominated by high pressure. Dry air limits the amount of moisture that can develop, maybe a few passing clouds, but that's about it. No rain on the radar, but things change for tomorrow. Of course, I'll talk about that when I come back. But as far as the overnight, expect temperatures to fall into the mid to lower 60s. And again, we'll experience some patchy fog in the early morning hours of tomorrow.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh. And still to come, preserving Sarasota's natural beauty versus development and job creation. County commissioners try to strike a delicate balance between the two, but could money influence their decision-making? We'll show you how it is playing out near the celery fields when we return.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
Hey, Tampa Bay, join us for the premiere of a new St. Petersburg tradition, the St. Petersburg Seafood and Music Festival, happening Saturday and Sunday, March 25th and 26th from 10 to 8 p.m. at Northstraub Park. Savor mouth-watering Florida Gulf Coast seafood dishes by top restaurants and chefs, while you enjoy great live music from some of Florida's top musical groups. So grab your family and friends for the St. Petersburg Seafood and Music Festival, March 25th and 26th. For more information, visit seafoodfestivals.com.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112. For a free brochure, call 1-800-962-4112.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
It appears community activists have been successful in derailing plans to build a restaurant supply depot near the celery fields, the Cherish Recreation Area. The developer's request to rezone the area was withdrawn yesterday, but another project remains on track. And ABC 7's Kate Flexter investigate what role, if any, campaign contributions are playing in the process. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. For months, that piece of land has been a topic of hot debate and even protests. Nearby residents worry the proposed development would negatively impact the park.
Conservation Chair for Sarasota's Audubon Society, Robert Wright, describes the celery fields as an island of untouched land in the middle of urbanization.
There is no more available land. What we have is what we have to work with.
It's that piece of land Wright worries could be at risk thanks to 2 separate projects in consideration by Sarasota County commissioners. The first proposal, a 60,000 square foot warehouse facility for the use of restaurant equipment and food supply, but developers backed out of that proposal just this week. The second is still in its early stages of consideration. It's an industrial recycling facility proposed by developer James Gabbert of TST Ventures. Wright's concern is that project could remove the buffer between the celery fields and the buildings on Palmer Boulevard.
All that material being piled up there so close to the celery fields can really wreak problems with this area.
It's a concern shared by nearby residents who worry it could disturb wildlife and depreciate home values.
We came here to this area to have the incredible way of life in Sarasota, to have all this natural beauty around us, and to live the Sarasota dream that everybody wants to live.
For weeks, residents have protested at the site and filled commission meetings about the proposals.
And it's not just the people who live in this area. It's not just the 15 communities and the schools and the churches and stuff that are out here. All of Sarasota loves this park, and all of Sarasota wants to see this park protected.
Carolyn Cockey, who lives just a mile away from the celery fields, describes the park as a major hub and worries the recycling plant could change the feel of the area.
You'll see people practicing CrossFit and doing yoga. People bring their dogs here to train and ride their bikes. There are tons of birders here with cameras, and I think that's something our commissioners are overlooking.
It just so happens the developer of the project has contributed thousands of dollars to the campaigns of several commissioners. A scroll through each commissioner's campaign contributions on the Supervisor of Elections website, and the address 1250 Hidden Harbor Way begins to appear. So we traced the address back to the property owner. According to voterrecords.com, it's owned by James Gabbert, who also owns the company proposing to build the industrial recycling plant by the celery fields. Commissioner Paul Caragiulo received 21 contributions from that address, amounting to $4,200. Commissioner Mike Moran also received 21 contributions from that same address, amounting to $4,200. Commissioner Alan Mayo received 22 contributions from that same address, amounting to $4,400. And Commissioner Charles Hines received 23 contributions from that address, amounting to $4,600. In total, commissioners received 87 contributions from that one address, amounting to $17,400. The one commissioner who did not receive any contributions from the address, Nancy Dietert. We reached out to her for comment, and she said simply, "People always look to campaign contributions for some kind of correlation, but I haven't seen that." ABC 7 also reached out to the commissioners who received the contributions but did not get a response. To be clear, developers and business owners making campaign contributions to commissioners is perfectly legal, although it rubs some local residents the wrong way.
From a standpoint of a citizen, I feel that's an insult to our intelligence.
Back at the celery fields, representative for the Homeowners Association at the nearby Enclave neighborhood, Carlos Correa, worries commissioners may factor those contributions into their decision-making.
Really hasn't been a whole lot of, understanding in what are the concerns of the citizens in this area.
Correa clarifies he and his neighbors are not against development, but hope their opinions and concerns will be factored in.
We understand that development happens, but there's a certain way to do it with common sense, and there's a certain way that we rely on the county to manage that. And I don't think they're right now doing their job.
That's a sentiment shared by Wright. His hope that the county will consider a more compatible use for the land.
Let's have a meeting and sit down and talk about this and decide what the best use of these lands is for the people of Sarasota County.
Again, we did reach out to those county commissioners who received contributions from Mr. Gabbard again this afternoon through the county spokesman, but we have not received a response.
Kate, thank you. But late today, I did talk to James Gabbard, who told me, quote, I have been a long-term contributor to Republican and good business candidates. I don't hide behind political action committees. I put my name on it. It's lawful. Coming up, we hear from the Audubon Society, a government watchdog, and a former commissioner when we take it to the trapezoid.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean really moves me.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Attention small business owners. Penn Funding announces the easiest and fastest business funding program, the Platinum Business Account.
We needed cash fast. Business is good, but this is an emergency. We needed some new equipment, and the banks wouldn't help us.
At Penn Funding, we like to say, yes, you're approved. With your Platinum Business Account, you could qualify for up to $50,000 or more. This amazing new business account funding program is so effective, you could have the cash you need in just days.
I called, spoke with an agent who pre-qualified us, and connected me.
Call now for your Platinum Business Account. If you've been in business for at least 6 months, you could qualify for up to $50,000 or more in just days.
I called Penn Funding and had my money fast.
Need cash for your business? Call Penn Funding now.
Call 800-658-3433. 800-658-3433.
Florida Studio Theater presents Piano Men, held over by popular demand through April 2nd. Attributing the virtuosity and elegance of the Piano Man, Piano Men features the works of 20th century's best pianists and songwriters, featuring songs from music icons such as Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, and Barry Manilow. Don't miss what critics are saying is energetic, with fun and playful performances that evokes hits of an era. Piano Men is held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudio.theater.org.
Welcome back. It is called the Celery Fields, and it's a cherished recreation area with hiking trails, kayaking, and bird watching. It is a rare commodity here on the Suncoast, which is why activists protested plans to build a 60,000 square foot restaurant depot nearby. The rezoning application was withdrawn this week, but another project for a recycling facility is still moving forward. It needs the okay from the county commissioners, but as we just reported, 4 of the 5 commissioners received regular campaign contributions from the developer. And joining us for more is Robert Wright, a conservation chair of the Sarasota Audubon Society, Kathy Antunes, host of The Detail on WSLR Radio, and former county commissioner John Thaxton, who is now the senior vice president of community investment for the Gulf Coast Community Foundation. Please note we invited the city county commissioners to be on tonight's show or to send a surrogate. They turned us down, and that is unfortunate. And John, I want to begin with you, but I also want to make note of the pink in your hair, and there's a good explanation for that.
We have a, a breast cancer survivor in our office who is celebrating 5 years of cancer-free. So the senior leadership team of Gulf Coast wanted to show support and solidarity, so we joined her in putting pink streaks in our hair.
Congratulations, and congratulations out there. We're also, glad for continued health. John, we invited you on the show tonight because, obviously people are going to be watching this broadcast and see the continual contributions to the commissioners, and they're going to be sitting back in their chairs and say, well, you know what, very few development projects are voted down in Sarasota County, and they're wondering if there's going to be a link between the vote and campaign contributions. You face that a lot over the years. You tell me.
Well, I think the perception is pretty much unavoidable. People are going to believe that the money is influencing the votes. And you would have to ask commissioners individually if that's the case.
Which we tried.
I understand, because we're all individuals and we all have different standards and we all have different belief systems, but there could be a linkage in that the candidate is supporting, as Gabbard said, a business-minded person who is likely to vote their way even without a campaign contribution, and they want to make sure that the person stays in office and stays in power to promote their interests as a philosophical perspective, which is completely different than having some sort of a quid pro quo.
And Kathy, that does make sense. I mean, it does happen all the time. One thing doesn't necessarily mean another, and as we said a number of times, there's nothing illegal that we're talking about here.
Right. Well, that's actually, I think, part of the problem. Mr. Gabbard, in addition to the 17 grand that your reporter, that was great information, he also has contributed $10,000 to the local PAC Making a Better Tomorrow, which is administered by Eric Robinson, who is our local PAC manager. But I don't even think this is a good...
Where did you get that information from?
The Division of Elections website in the state of Florida. You can find it there. But I would really challenge the notion that this is smart from a business perspective. I think it's smart for Mr. Gabbard, for his business perhaps, but for the surrounding area, for ecotourism, it's an absolute loser from a business perspective. Ecotourism is a big draw, and the celery fields is a big part of that.
Robert, you're located, the Audubon Society is located at the celery field, so I know that this is an issue that is incredibly close to your heart, and you heard from the local homeowners who are not supportive of this. When it just comes to the campaign contributions, what are your thoughts when you see stories like this?
Well, I mean, they're a little bit troubling because you would like to think that this is going to be a fair presentation of information to the board, and that they're going to hear from the literally thousands of people who are opposed to this project, and then they're going to hear from the one individual who will benefit from the project. And you're hoping that, again, all things being fair, that the citizens of Sarasota County en masse would provide more input to stop the project where it is now and then move into some kind of negotiation with all the stakeholders, not just people who are interested in buying the property.
John, you heard the homeowner in Kate's story who says, hey, listen, I mean, we see the contributions. We're not fools. We wouldn't be surprised if this project goes through. There are, correct me if I'm wrong, plenty of times that you have gotten contributions from some of the biggest developers in our area and voted against them?
Well, regularly. I receive numerous contributions from all the large developers in Sarasota. You would recognize their names. If you want to go on the supervisor's website, you can find them. And I regularly voted against their projects when I felt they did not meet the merits of the law. And the merits of the law are comparing the rezone application to those goals, objectives, and policies in the comprehensive plan. And I would counsel the groups that are opposing it not to base their assumptions and their recommendations based upon the number of people that show up at a public hearing or what the people want, because in a land use hearing, what the people want is of no regard. As a matter of fact, you cannot even make a decision based upon popularity. You have to make it based upon the consistency of the application with the policies in the plan.
Have you ever been pressured by a contributor to vote their way?
I wouldn't call it pressure. I have had many times where a contributor would have a petition, and prior to the actual filing of the petition, they would like to talk to me about it. I typically avoided those conversations because I didn't like the perception that it showed. So I've never been pressured. No.
Have you ever had a consequence for voting against a contributor?
Not that I know of.
You know, Kathy, this is no different than what happens in the state legislature or in Congress, where our members of Congress, our state representatives, get a lot of money from groups and organizations which want them to vote their way. Why is this any different?
Well, I think it's important to look at the process that's happened here. Last spring, the county put out an invitation to negotiate, soliciting bids for this land. There were 2 parcels, restaurant depots left. The Audubon Society, certainly an interested party, didn't know these parcels were for sale. They only got 1 bid each. Mr. Gabbert's bid for the southwest parcel and Restaurant Depot's bid. If you're talking about a pro-business culture and you're only getting 1 bid and you're accepting it, that is a ridiculous proposition to try to sell the public that this is in any way pro-business or fair. It looks like the fix is in. And when it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, you got to figure you're dealing with that.
I'd like to follow up on that if I could, because I think one of the things that we're missing here in the big picture is the fact that the land that we're talking about is currently owned by Sarasota County.
Exactly.
It's not a taking or preventing someone from using their land. And when I say it's owned by Sarasota County, that means you own it, and I own it, and everybody at this table owns it, and everybody in Sarasota County owns it. So what I'm driving at here is the idea that when you look at the land being placed on the surplus land list to begin with, there was not adequate notification to anyone to do that.
I got it,
and we have less than a minute left, but when did you learn about the proposed sale of
We learned about the proposed sale when a neighborhood person alerted us to a neighborhood workshop talking about the fact that a bid had been accepted by the county pending rezoning.
We're running out of time in this segment, but what would you have done if you learned about it earlier?
If we had learned about it earlier, we would have worked with the county before any bids were taken in order to get the lands taken off the surplus lands list.
And this is critical. This cap hasn't been updated in 25 years.
All right, we will pick up this conversation in just a moment. We are just getting started. We'll return right after this break.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less, featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest to support your head, neck, and shoulders, bedside power plugs, under bed night lights, and more. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You've got to see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-774-8103. That's 1-800-774-8103. Call now.
Hey, Tampa Bay, join us for the premiere of a new St. Petersburg tradition, the St. Petersburg Seafood and Music Festival, happening Saturday and Sunday, March 25th and 26th from 10 to 8 p.m. at Northstrom Park. Savor mouth-watering Florida Gulf Coast seafood dishes by top restaurants and chefs while you enjoy great live music from some of Florida's top musical groups. So grab your family and friends for the St. Petersburg Seafood and Music Festival, March 25th and 26th. For more information, visit seafoodfestivals.com.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get Debt-Free Now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing a proposal to build a recycling facility near the celery fields in Sarasota. We're also talking about the implications of more than $17,000 in campaign contributions made by the applicant of the project of 4 county commissioners. Our guests tonight are Robert Wright of the Sarasota Audubon Society, Kathy Antunes, host of The Detail on WSLR Radio, and former County Commissioner John Thaxton. We will also want to note, once again, we invited the county commissioners to join us tonight. They turned down our request. And Robert, let me begin with you again, because the county considers this excess land, but
Correct.
You believe this is really part of the celery fields project.
Yes, I do. And one of the things I have to say right up front is the idea that to be surplus land, it has to be considered as not having a viable use to the citizens of Sarasota County. Now, this is a document which is put out by Sarasota County, and there's others also that specifically list this land that we're talking about as part of the Celery Fields Preserve. As you can see, those 4 quads are the same color as the rest of it here. And when you tally up the acreage that they're talking about, it includes...
Why don't you just try to turn it a little bit that way
Sure.
as you speak.
That is what we're dealing with for the 4 properties here. It's the quad. And as I said, when you tally up the acreage of the preserve, the 400-some acres include these properties.
Right.
So this is already part of the celery fields.
John, you were in office after the acquisition of this project, and correct me if I'm wrong, the celery fields, that area is a defined area, but the county had to purchase more land than was originally intended for the project.
It wasn't necessarily because it was a defined area. It's just that the property owner at the time would not sell the land that was absolutely necessary for the Celery Fields project to materialize without also purchasing these other parcels. And so that's how they came into county ownership. At the time, you got to remember, the county was considering, we purchased this with Stormwater Environmental Utilities Funds, which is an enterprise fund, which are non-fungible assets. But we were thinking, the county was thinking about putting ball fields, lighted ball fields on here. And some of us had more ecological interests, and some of the staff at the county at the time, a gentleman named Steve Swaw, recognized that we could both save the homes from flooding and also make a tremendous wildlife park out of it.
Do you believe that there is any good argument against selling this property?
You know, I have not really studied the petition or kept up with it that much, and so I don't feel that I'm, really capable of answering that question.
Is there a basis in the master plan, so to speak, to turn down this request?
Well, if there's no viable use in terms of a public interest, and the monies can be used to promote greater public good, then that would be the conditions that they would be sold under.
Kathy, you observe the county commission. You are known for doing so. Right. What do you see inside these commission meetings on this project and other projects like it?
Well, what I see, which is the overriding concern, is not walking a certain kind of talk, which is we're great at planning, we're on the cutting edge of best practices, and then the reality is when the rubber meets the road, that's not what happens. In this particular instance, this project is governed by a critical area plan, and that's what Mr. Gabbard now is asking for, a critical area plan change. This critical area plan, the whole purpose of one is to look at the bigger picture, is to do better development. It hasn't been updated since the 90s. It's been 25 years. So before anything were to happen, they should be updating that plan, and they're not.
Robert, put this in context, because this proposal is not going to affect the celery fields in terms of the kayaking, the hiking, the bird watching. What, in your opinion, is at stake here?
Well, when you think about it, the lands as they stand now, even though there's no habitat value on them at this moment in time, those properties are areas where birds and other critters go to forage, and then they return to the celery fields. Just like a lot of the things that live in the celery fields may live further somewhere else. But that is all part of the general habitat. If you build something on those vacant properties, what you're doing is you're pushing the land area available for the critters and the birds to live in further back, because they're going to withdraw even further away from the existing industrial area, because now you've increased the size of the industrial area. So consequently, having something there that either stays in its natural state or something that doesn't generate tons of truck traffic, which is one of the issues with Mr. Gabbert's project, is the fact that in order for him to be successful, he has to have in the neighborhood of about 100 trucks a day rolling through there. And a lot of that traffic is going to be coming through the celery fields. So the trucks themselves and all the debris they're carrying and everything else, not even taking into consideration his property itself,
but
has a major impact.
Isn't this part of the push and pull that we deal on the Suncoast and everywhere in general, that we love these areas, but we are a growing community and we need companies, you're saying no, that you know, we also create garbage and we need recycling, and
this isn't garbage.
Not in my backyard, but these kinds of facilities are needed.
There are a couple points. One is recycling is a characterization that works for Mr. Gabbert, but I believe the correct term would be an industrial waste processing plant. This isn't aluminum cans and bottles we're talking about. This is concrete, this is industrial waste. That has implications for the wildlife. The other thing is, who's defining the value of an area? I mean, if I want to build an industrial plant, I may not value ecotourism very much, but ecotourism is a huge driver of our economy, and the celery fields is part of that. It's nationally and internationally known. So the business interests, I would not call them that. I'd call them special interests who have bought seats at the table, they have their people in place, and those people are working for special interests.
John, the celery fields are beloved, but isn't it also true that the roads going to and from are already busy with commerce?
They are. Sure they are.
So,
Yeah,
so is this a matter of degree?
well, first off, I'm not going to comment on the petition because I can't. I haven't read it. I wouldn't comment even if I'd read it. I'd only comment after I've studied it.
You're a good lawyer.
What I would do is we have policies that are in the comprehensive plan that their specific purpose are to take these issues that we're talking about here tonight and weigh them, and that's what needs to be done. The community needs to look at those policies. They need to look at this land use. They need to look at the surrounding area, the critical area plan, if you would, and then make an assessment based on all of the facts.
We're going to go to final thoughts in a moment, but I would imagine that the points that you're all raising is that we would much be better off if the community in general were notified about the sale earlier, and that the public debate about it got more exposure.
Exactly. In fact, you know, having worked for the county for many years myself, the normal way of doing business is when you're going to do a project that's going to impact stakeholders, people who are going to be have their livelihood or their businesses or something else affected by what you're thinking about doing. The first thing you do is notify as many stakeholders as you can, and in this case it would be all over the county, to come and find out what you're proposing, and then when you're proposing it, you get their input. Then you work out the details between you and come up with a good project.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about the GOP healthcare plans.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you, weeknights at 5.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need
The Debt Ninja. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you could be facing wage garnishments, levies, liens, property seizure, cancellation of business license, closure of business. The Debt Ninja fights your IRS debt. That's why you need The Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja has found the best companies in the country who are on your side to fight debt. Want to learn if you qualify for the IRS Financial Hardship Program? Stop the IRS from garnishing your wages. Even if your bank account has been seized, if you have undeclared taxes, if you have existing IRS debt, it's not too late to call, so grab your phone now. Call the Debt Ninja at 800-945-0083. That's 800-945-0083. Settle your IRS debt to get the power of the Debt Ninja. Dial this number now, 800-945-0083.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
It's the season of savings right now during the spring clearance event at Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota. Come shop the Suncoast's largest selection of new Jeep Wranglers, or stop by today and drive away in a 2017 Jeep Cherokee for just $18,999. And for a limited time, get America's best value, a new Dodge Journey for as little as $16,599. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
Welcome back. What can we expect from the proposal for the recycling facility near the celery fields to receive approval? And what do we make of the campaign contributions from James Gabbard? Our guest join us right now for final thoughts. Robert, I'll go to you first. What do you make of what we're talking about tonight, and what do you hope that happens?
Well, as I said before, I have no idea from an impact of the contributions Mr. Gabbard has made. I really can't comment on that one way or the other. But what I can say is that the use of land for what he's proposing is totally incompatible with what we have there in the celery fields. And one of the requirements for changing that rezoning or the plan that we're talking about is the idea of compatibility. It has to be compatible. And as I've shown here, you don't get any more compatible than already being part of the celery fields.
Kathy, we reported tonight that the other project earmarked for that site, the restaurant depot, that was withdrawn this week. Partially, the developers say because of the community opposition to it. Is there any likeliness that the same thing would happen in regards to this part of the parcel?
Well, I can't speak to what Mr. Gabbard may or may not do. I would leave you with two thoughts. One is
because he did say to me that at public meetings that the public that came out was often rude, often not courteous to him as he was trying to make his point.
I wasn't at those meetings, so I can't speak to that.
Is that true?
There were people who were rude to him. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they didn't receive adequate notification before any of this process took place.
But see, this is a tactic. In other words, when you have a weak case, what do? You shoot, you try to make it personal. Mr. Gabbard's case is very weak. He's the only bidder, so whatever the county did to notify people was wholly inadequate. When you only have one bid, that's a lousy business practice. That's very obvious.
So, John, what should we keep in mind?
Well, I can only say how I was influenced as a county commissioner, and I would encourage folks to at least assume this with the seated county commission. And it's not about the campaign contributions as much as it is their philosophies with regards to growth in Sarasota County, and what do the policies direct them to do with this decision that they must make. And if we stick to that, I think the outcome could be a good one.
Here's the bottom line, folks. Elections matter.
They do.
Before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, the GOP plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. House Republicans will vote on the American Care Act tomorrow. While it eliminates the individual mandate of Obamacare, the Congressional Budget Office estimates as many as 24 million Americans could lose coverage under the act by 2018. It would also cut funding to Medicaid. Florida had more Obamacare signups than any other state in 2016. We asked what you think about the new plan, and Leslie Young writes, I'm 57, never could afford Obamacare, and I still have no health care. I can't afford it. Wish somebody would help me out. Seems I always fall through the cracks. Jeff Vermillion writes, regardless of the plan, health care is the driver behind the cost. You're not going to reduce insurance unless you create huge pools of customers to spread the cost. Everyone hates the Medicare for all mantra, but it's the most cost-effective way to reduce prices. And Augusto Perez writes, call it the Republican insurance plan or just use the initials RIP. If you'd like, I hear laughing out there somewhere. If you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, want to watch past roundtable discussions? They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Robert Wright is the Conservation Chair of the Sarasota Audubon Society. Kathleen Tunis hosts The Detail on WSLR Radio. And John Thaxton is a former Sarasota County Commissioner. He is now Senior Vice President of Community Investment at the Gulf Coast Community Foundation. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather. Plus, not so confident House members are preparing to vote on the plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. Now, former Vice President Joe Biden is giving his view on the decision. Find out what he is saying in our prime time headlines.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $10 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular received a J.D. Power Award for highest customer service. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-297-5313. Go to consumercellular.com or visit a Target or Sears store today.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now, let's get a check on our weather from meteorologist Josh Stone. Josh.
All right, thanks so much, Alan. 68 degrees is the current temperature with clear skies at this moment, but we're expecting a few clouds to stream across the sky through this evening. Dew point at 64. Wouldn't be surprised that the temperature closes in on that dew point. We could have some areas of patchy fog in the overnight. As far as our high today, we topped out at a beautiful 74 degrees, just below the average of 77. No rain to speak of today. Well, it's been the case for several days now. A lot of sunshine, blue sky. High pressure's been in control, dry air above us. But look at the deficit, minus 5.00 inches of rain. We really need to put a dent in that. And it looks like we may get some rain tomorrow. Radar remains quiet, but 24 hours from now, radar could light up with some shower activity. The dry air shows up in tan, is slowly moving south, and more moisture is coming in behind it. And with this front that caused some severe weather last night in places like Tennessee and Georgia, this is tracking our way. But by the time it gets to us, it's not going to bring us any sort of severe weather, but we could get a few showers that come out of this. So as we begin the day tomorrow, expect increasing clouds. Then you can see some shower activity here in the center portion of the state, and that could track towards the coast. I think if we get any showers, which is only about a 20 to 30% chance, that will most likely be inland for tomorrow afternoon. For the boaters, expect a northeasterly wind at 10 to 15 knots, and wind gusts will be higher than that. Seas anywhere from 1 to 2 feet, and a moderate chop in the bays. At the beach, temperatures should be in the mid-70s, but again, expect increasing clouds. The low tonight dips down to 62 degrees, but as that low drops down close to the dew point, we could get some areas of patchy fog that develops. Our high tomorrow, 77, but once again, with increasing clouds, there's a chance for showers to take place. But like I said, I think most of that shower activity will be inland. Also, the winds will pick up tomorrow afternoon into Friday, but the weekend looks terrific. Stay with us. Alan will be right back.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
Florida Studio Theater presents Piano Men, held over by popular demand through April 2nd. Attributing the virtuosity and elegance of the Piano Man, Piano Men features the works of 20th century's best pianists and songwriters. Featuring songs from music icons such as Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, and Barry Manilow, don't miss what critics are saying is energetic with fun and playful performances that evokes hits of an era. Piano Men is held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudio.theater.org.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
Now for your primetime headlines, President Trump's former campaign chairman is speaking out about his alleged ties to Russia. Paul Manafort reportedly worked for a Russian billionaire. The Associated Press reports the goal was to advance the interests of Russian President Vladimir Putin. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest.
Today, new questions about the person who was once the Trump campaign's man in charge, Paul Manafort.
We want Americans to understand who Donald Trump the man is.
The Associated Press out with a report that in 2005, a decade before Manafort worked for candidate Trump, he was secretly on the payroll of Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska to advance the interests of Russian President Vladimir Putin. The AP obtained business documents. It says they show Manafort launched an ambitious pro-Putin political strategy in exchange for millions of dollars.
Are there any ties between Mr. Trump, you or your campaign, and Putin and his regime?
No, there are not. It's absurd, and there's no basis to it.
Now, in a statement, Manafort says his work for that Russian billionaire and Putin ally did not involve representing Russian political interest. He says smear and innuendo are being used to paint a false picture.
Paul Manafort.
This week, Manafort's name brought up several times after the FBI confirmed the investigation into the Trump campaign in Russia.
Is Paul Manafort a subject in your investigation?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Manafort, a veteran GOP operative, part of the Trump campaign for 5 months. The campaign chair chief strategist ran the Republican National Convention for Trump.
To suggest that the president knew who his clients were from a decade ago is a bit insane. He was hired to do a job. He did it. That's it, plain and simple.
The White House says the reasons Manafort was fired over the summer, the distraction of his alleged dealings with Ukraine's pro-Russian party, and because Trump was down in the polls. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, the healthcare showdown continues on Capitol Hill. For a second day, President Trump is making an aggressive push for Republicans to vote for the legislation. Former Vice President Joe Biden is joining fellow Democrats to mark the 7th anniversary of the Affordable Care Act. He thinks the Republican plan will fail.
I'm hoping it's not going to pass. It may pass here tomorrow, but this is not the end. This is not the end. The American public not going to put up with this. They're not going to put up with these changes.
The House needs 216 votes to pass the bill, which means no more than 21 Republicans can vote no. Here in Florida, a lawsuit is being filed by some of the victims and families and survivors of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. A personal injury attorney is suing Omar Mateen's employer and wife, claiming they were able to stop him before the attack but didn't. Mateen killed 49 people during the worst mass shooting in U.S. history last June. Dozens more were injured. Mateen had a firearm license through his employer, international security company G4S. A spokesman for the security firm is refusing to comment. More than 100 opponents of fracking are gathering in Tallahassee today. They're calling on lawmakers to ban hydraulic fracturing in Florida. Fracking involves injecting water, sand, and chemicals underground to fracture rock formations, allowing natural gas and oil to be released. While it brings down energy costs, opponents argue it threatens our water supply.
It's bad for our economy. It is bad for Florida's financial health. If we have toxic water in Florida, tourists and people that want to live here and come here are not going to anymore.
The bill to ban fracking has passed one Senate committee but has yet to be taken up in the House. 24 mayors from across Florida are also in the Capitol today. They want legislators to stop telling them how to do their jobs. A host of bills are being considered this session, giving the state jurisdiction over local decisions.
If we don't have the authority to solve those problems, then we're not doing our job. And how can somebody in Tallahassee tell us that we don't know what's best for our own community?
Mayors say most zoning and business regulations need to be made at the local level since all communities are different. There are only 19 Greyhound racing tracks left in the United States. 12 are in Florida, but legislators can soon be making racing safer for the dogs. A bill banning the use of anabolic steroids is heading to the House floor. The bill's sponsor says steroids are used to keep female greyhounds from going into heat and performance on the track. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Good night.